I'd like to call to order the October 8th, 2024 MSD of Steuben County Board of Trustees regular business meeting. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first up we have patron comments. Just a few things here. We ask that patrons speak from the podium. Please state your first and last name. The board will not engage in questions or comments. All comments are be directed to the board president. You have 3 minutes to speak, and board members, you'll have an opportunity at the end of the meeting to speak during our board member communications. So first up, we have KATRINA Buchanan.
My name is KATRINA Buchanan. I would like to focus on our teachers and what seems to be a lack of care and support they are given. First, let me ask about discipline to those students who are disruptive or make threats. There has been a student who called a teacher a mother effer, another student who threatened to kill a 6th grade teacher last year. Both were sent to the office and then sent back to class. We have had 2 threats to the school. Why will our administration not expel these students? Are we worried more about our image and fear of losing more students rather than supporting our teachers and keeping our students and staff safe? When we don't address poor behavior, students will feel untouchable. Prairie Heights expelled 2 students recently for making threats. Take action like they have. Second, let's talk about huge losses in staff and students. In the last 2.5 years, we have lost nearly half the staff and over 200 students. Why hasn't the school board members reached out to the teachers leaving, asking them what we can do to keep them at MSD? We have lost many long-term teachers to neighboring schools. If we can't compete with neighboring school salaries, then what else can be done to keep our teachers here? What else are you doing to value our teachers? Because if they can't be provided with comparable pay and benefits, they surely need to be valued in other ways. Third, let's talk about our sports complexes and central office monies. We have spent over $13 million on new sports facilities. Public records show the combined salaries of just 5 of you in the central office at over $577,000. Where are the priorities of the school district? We want our facilities to look good and central office to be provided for over our teachers being supported. Fourth, due to teacher shortages, our students are not getting the education they need. Do we have confident and properly educated teachers for more advanced classes? The answer is no. Students have to go to other schools, and I was told by the superintendent that online courses will be more of the normal due to teacher shortages. This is not acceptable. We learned during the COVID shutdown that in-home online learning was not the best way to teach our students to learn, and yet our high school is doing just that because they don't have enough teachers. So is that your answer? Lower criteria for higher learning and offer less than ideal learning opportunities for the students? As I look at this school board, I am disappointed. I see those who have actual ties to this community, former teachers, alumni who went to school with myself and my brothers, my former vice principal, a father whose kids in the same grade as my sons. Are you truly reaching out to teachers, trying to support them, asking those who have left why, and taking their concerns to heart? I have heard from plenty of teachers, and I know you are not doing your due diligence to ensure we are keeping excellent teachers, supporting them, or making sure that my son and the rest of the students are being provided the best education possible. The teachers are desperate, pleading for help, and they are hurting. If how you are running things is working, students and staff would be staying. Thank you. That's okay, I'm taking some deep breaths, it's fine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns. My name is Abby Matiak, and I have a son in the 9th grade at Angola High School. Over the last few years, I have grown concerned at the number of teachers and staff and administrators leaving the MSD school district. I am sure there are multiple reasons why, but I can't help but notice the last year how many long-term teachers and staff of MSD have left. There seems to be a problem here, and I'd like to know how it's being addressed. We have lost so many good teachers, especially this past school year. Long-term
teachers who have great rapport with kids and parents. Some of these teachers are very gifted in what they do, and and this is a huge loss to the students and their families, and to be honest, to the school district itself. There seems to be a sense that the district doesn't seem to care about the high turnover staff. It's a small community and people talk. I realize rumors are real, but you need to know what is being said, and that the teachers are being treated terrible, so they are leaving. I'm aware that pay is also an issue. My son and daughter have had excellent teachers over, for the most part, over the majority, but the majority of them are gone. We really have thought long and hard about why we are keeping our child in Angola. I questioned it every day until I got my answer. It was because of his teachers and staff, it was because of the teachers and staff my son has. 2 weeks ago, his teacher noticed that something was off about him. She was concerned, so she contacted another staff whom he felt comfortable talking about. We found out that he had a plan to kill himself that night when he got home. Because he told Mr. Benny, the actions were taken and we were able to get our son the help he needs. I thought then and there, that is why we stayed. Despite all that's going on, there's a good team around him. The scary part is, what if we lose them next year? I truly hope there is a great concern I truly hope you guys know there is a great concern among parents, and I hope there is a plan in place to retain the teachers and staff that we have. Thank you.
First up, we have the approval of minutes. We've all received the minutes from the September 17th budget hearing and the regular meeting. Any questions, concerns, changes? All right, if not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
The vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart? Yes. Mr. Port?
Yes.
Approval of claims. Are there any questions, comments regarding the claims? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Reitenauer?
Yes.
Thank you. Personnel considerations, Dr. Wiedenover.
Board, in your packets, you do have personnel considerations for this evening. We do have resignations, appointments, and reassignments, and I would ask that you approve those as presented.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the personnel considerations.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Cass?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
I'll abstain.
Mr. Port?
Aye.
Mr. Reitenauer?
Yes.
Excuse me. Special reports, Dr. Relu.
Board, in your packet, you have summaries of each of the schools' school improvement plans. These are typically around 70-page documents when the entire plan is presented. I didn't want to put all of that in your reading material, but I did want to highlight for you each of the school's goals, and I wanted you to be able to see the action steps that are supported by evidence-based strategies that each school plans to take to achieve their goals. So I want to start by sharing the high school plan. The goals at the high school are really focused on raising PSAT and SAT scores. We see a significant increase in our English language arts and writing performance as students progress through the high school. We are not seeing that same improvement in our math. Changes in the math department that are taking place. We are significantly working on improving the algebra skills of our students, and then continuing that matriculation on. The difference between PSAT and SAT, they really start shifting from algebra focus to Algebra 2 focus. And so you'll see that discrepancy between PSAT and SAT just because the content of that test changes. So the department's been doing a considerable amount of work there. So you'll notice in the action steps, really following their curricular materials, following that curriculum map that defines all of the skills within the standards that are on that assessment has been the focus there. I did want to point out one highlight from Angola High School, and that is the graduation rate. That is the last goal for the high school, and that is to keep that graduation rate above 95%. The state has set a goal for all schools to have a graduation rate of 95%. Last year, the graduation rate, I guess 2023, which is what's on the GPS currently, we were at 95.4%. For 23-24, it's almost finalized and released, but we are at 97% graduation rate. So I think that's the highest it's been in almost 15 years. At least that's as far back as I'm able to see. So a lot of hard work has gone into that, completing those graduation pathways, making sure students are earning their credits and completing their courses, putting in the ACE Academy for those students that are behind and giving them a wonderful environment to get back on track and meet those expectations. School's also been very diligent in tracking students and their data. So a lot of factors have gone into that, but schools worked very hard to get there, and we're very excited about that. Next, I want to share with you the middle school. So the Angola Middle School Plan, again, their goals focus primarily on those things that are reported by the state. So math, iLearn results, English iLearn results. Those increases are representing a 5% gain across the average of all of the grade level scores there. And then they're also really focusing on the dashboard, which is the attendance piece of that dashboard. Each school kind of picked one of the GPS indicators that was going to be a focus for them, and theirs is that attendance piece. In order for schools to have their attendance reported, each student has to have 94% attendance. So if a student is below 94%, that student doesn't count as meeting that. Last year, Angola Middle School had 63% of the students were at 94% attendance or higher. Their goal is to get that to 68% and then continue increasing that. There are lots of supports in place for attendance, lots of letters, phone calls, conferences, teachers reaching out. We've also partnered with JDAI for a mediation process for families that reach that 10-day threshold. The state also passed a law this year that once students become habitually truant, that the prosecutor must proceed with charges. So we are anticipating seeing how that process is going to play out in support of schools trying to address that goal of getting students here, which will help them be more successful. The state's saying he has to. It's still up to each person how they're going to address that.
So you press charge against the family or against the kids?
Depends on the age of the child. So typically, it's going to be with the parent. Well, that's the great challenge, that the workload is already almost unmanageable, and that there aren't resources to be able to really intervene in these situations. So that's the challenge.
They can prosecute. Years ago, they used to prosecute. I remember we went through a couple situations where they prosecuted the family. Then the prosecutors got to the point that they used that will, and the judge, we met with the judge and everything, and he kind of indicated that he didn't want to go after those families anymore. So I'm glad to see the wording now is a must.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so next slide, I want to do a quick highlight. Angola Middle School, when we are looking at their iLearn growth, Angola Middle School is that blue line, and you can see that they are maintaining a good separation above what the state growth on iLearn is. Now, that's not always the same with proficiency, but that growth is how we're moving students who need to be moved there. So that's Angola Middle School. Next, we have Henry Park. Henry Park, again, English, language, arts, and mathematics. iLearn is the goal. They've also set a goal of increasing the percentage of students hitting the at or above achievement level by a 5% increase. And one of the things that's challenging when you look at those numbers, this is a college and career ready benchmark. Our old state tests used to be a minimum competency performance. iLearn is a college and career ready performance. So that pass rate indicates students are on track to be successful in their freshman year of college. So when we think about the percentage of students going on to four-year colleges, that's really kind of the percentage we would want to be able to see passing there. Certainly we want that to be higher, but it's a pretty steep bar. And then a goal of 90% of students achieving proficiency on iRead 3 by the end of this year. You can see there the dial is the iRead 3 goal for the state of Indiana, or the third grade literacy goal, which is iRead 3. And Henry Park has met that goal this year. Next, we have Ryan Park. They are starting, their first goal is addressing that absenteeism and decreasing the percent of students that are absent 10% of the time or more from 8% to 6%. They have a great by grade level daily attendance tracker. So they put up every day the percent of students that are there for each grade level, and at the end of the week they have attendance celebrations that can range from all kinds of things, but there's a traveling class trophy. If they hit their attendance goal for the week, they have a dance out party on Friday. So lots of fun celebrations there. Second goal is addressing iLearn mathematics. Their goal is increasing from 49% last year to 55% for the upcoming year. And then on iRead 3, their baseline is 81.7%, attaining that third grade pass, and their goal this year is to get to 90%. And I'll show you a celebration in a moment that you can see in one of our schools where we're really making that progress. So this is, again, iLearn growth. And again, you can see that the Ryan Park blue line is growing and continuing to spread apart from the state average there for iLearn growth. So they're on a really nice trajectory to be able to hit those targets. Next, we have Carlin Park. Carlin Park has 4 goals. Again, the first being attendance and increasing there, looking at overall attendance. So school-wide, moving from 95%, which was their school-wide attendance rate last year, to 97% this year. Again, they're tracking that and celebrating that, and students are tracking their own individual attendance. Goal 2 is around iLearn mathematics, and they have set a goal to increase by 11% from 31.8 to 43. Goal 3 is around iRead 3. They want to increase by 5%. Last year, Carlin Park had 85% of their students pass iRead 3. That was the highest score in the district at our highest poverty school. So they have been working incredibly hard, being very focused, teachers and assistants and principals and everyone putting in lots of additional time in tutoring and small group instruction and lots of professional development by the teachers to really hone their reading skills. We're very excited about not only their goal, but their ability to hit that goal. And lastly, proficiency on iLearn, and that's for their ELA, getting to 42% proficiency. I'm going to share with you the data from iLearn at Carlin Park. So the blue bar graph is last year's score. The red bar is, I guess, from 24's score is red. If you look at Carlin Park, I was going to say, can you help me? Is it Carlin Park is the first school? Can you tell me what the numbers are?
Which the top graph?
The top blue?
The top one is
And then the red? Okay, so that's second graders who passed the iRead 3 test. So they went, doubled in 1 year, the second graders that were passing that test. And then as we look at third grade, I'm trying to make sure the schools are still in the same order. 71 to? 71.7 to 85. So again, an 8% increase in 1 year's time. So significant work on the part of those teachers. And when you think about that blue 31% in second grade, that's the same group of kids that became the red 85% in third grade. So phenomenal work by the staff there. We're just very proud of them. And our last plan is the Pleasant Lake, the Pleasant Lake Montessori plan. This one's a little, let's see where it goes, because we've got about half the students are original Pleasant Lake students. The other half are move-ins, either from outside the district or from other schools within the district. They are also setting lofty goals around I Learn Math and English Language Arts at 56% math, 51% English Language Arts. They are looking at I Learn Writing. Writing is really a focus for them this coming year. And when we look across all of our schools, that is definitely a weakness. We're making those gains in reading, and it's critical that students be able to read to be able to do all other things. But their goal is for 40% of their students in grades 3 through 6 to achieve a score of 3 or higher. It's a 3 or a 4 on the I Learn Writing rubric. And they're giving themselves 2 years. Actually, I guess by the end of the school year cycle, it's the 3 years to hit that goal. And then their last goal is that 94% attendance rate. So they want that they're shooting for the GPS goal of 94% attendance and having 93% of their students hit the 94% goal. So that's kind of the quick overview of each school's goals. You'll notice in all of them that they're using the professional learning community process to really analyze what they're teaching, what they want students to know unit by unit, planning how they're going to assess that, then figuring out after they analyze the data, what are they going to do to help students who didn't meet the goals, and what are they going to do to help enrich the students who have met those goals. So really those 4 professional learning community questions just kind of being repeated cycle after cycle as they move through the year. So any questions or things that you want to comment on around the school improvement plans?
And board, I'll remind you too that you'll get a more in-depth look when you go to their data meetings, when you get in those war rooms and you start looking at those data, and those principals walk us through some of those things. So you'll start seeing those. Remember, your first one is at the high school as we go through that with Mr. Havens here this week. So.
We've been approached by the LifeWise Academy. It's a local group of churches that have kind of come together with leadership to get a LifeWise program started at Angola Middle School. They have a wonderful video that really does a great job summarizing what the program is, so I'm going to let it speak for itself and then share with you kind of the plan for what this rollout will look like for Angola Middle School. A meeting with the LifeWise Academy kind of leadership team that is getting the program started. They will be moving forward and hiring a director. And then I just wanted to kind of share with you the timeline. So the plan currently is to begin the program in February at Angola Middle School. Students who are in study hall will be the students who are able to sign up to be able to go to the LifeWise program. So they'll be sending transportation for those students who've signed up. They'll go 1 day a week. Right now, the church that they're planning to go to is Pleasant View Church of Christ by Fox Lake. And then all of the recruitment takes place outside of the school. So they'll be recruiting at churches, they'll be recruiting at community events. So we'll see kind of how this first semester endeavor goes with the study hall. And as they get the word out, we'll kind of see what that looks like for years moving forward in terms of schedule and when students can be free to not be missing academic time, but to be able to participate in the program. LifeWise does assume liability and gets the permission slips signed from parents, and then they will give that to Mrs. Irwin so they know which students are going and on which days. So they'll miss just that period during study hall time, leave when it begins, and be back as that ends.
Do you have parental input on any of this?
So that's for LifeWise to do. This is not a school sponsored program. It's a school allowed
School time, though,
program. It is during school time. Yep. So they'll be the ones contacting the parents and sharing that information with them. But they do have, in order to move forward, they do have have to have a minimum of 50 signatures of support from community members, and they have that and are ready to go.
You run a bus?
They provide the transportation.
No liability, no cost to the district at all, other than just getting them ready, making sure they have permission to go. And then as far as the study hall or hopefully, except for this call now, but is it throughout the day or is it all the ones that, because we have to have a certain?
Nope, so it'll be throughout the day. So they'll have different groups going different periods as that study hall happens. So homeroom is still a thing, and that's at the end of the day. And then some students have study hall, and that rotates every 9 weeks.
What's the amount of time they have within that?
So it's
LifeWise?
50 minutes from the time the class starts to when they have to be back for the next class.
And if I sign up, it's once a week?
It is once a week. Okay.
At the high school, and Mr. Steve Lance. He is unable to be here tonight. He had family emergencies, and he's actually doing his job, going to a soccer game, because we won last night and advanced in the soccer sectional. So he's over at Lakeland and been down taking care of family members too. But as you know, Mr. Steve Lance is the IHSA District 2 Athletic Director of the Year. And in the spring, he'll go down to Indianapolis and hopefully and probably become Athletic Director of the Year for the state. Some things, working with Steve, I've worked with Steve for all the time he's been at Angola High School. Outstanding individual, outstanding person, cares about kids and the community. He's taught here almost his whole career. And I've talked to Mark, and I've always said this, it's interesting in college, people always want to be an athletic director because it looks fun. Looks easy. You just go to basketball games, go to events, sporting events, get popcorn and hot dogs and sit back and just watch. But what they don't see are the mornings when he comes in, having to find officials for games, having to get contracts for events, having to get rain delays and changed out, and certifying. He came in today, certified all of our football players for sectionals and get all that paperwork and other stuff done. Did a transfer from another student and students coming in. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that Steve makes it look easy. Not an easy job, but he makes it look good, and we do a very nice job. We do an excellent job, and Steve does an outstanding job. So I'm proud to be working with him, very proud of everything he's done, what he's accomplished, and he totally deserves this award. So I'm extremely proud. And last week at our PEP session, I actually announced this to our students in the PEP session, and all of them stood up and cheered. It was the longest standing ovation that I've seen for a while from Mr. Lance, because they know the hard work he does, not just for athletes, but for all of our students and helping out. So just really appreciate everything Steve does for our school and our community. So he appreciates this, and sorry he can't be here tonight, but family comes first. So thanks, guys. Appreciate this for recognizing him too. Thank you.
We have no old business tonight. New business, we have the budget adoption. Dr. Wiedenhofer.
Board, I am pitch hitting tonight for Dr. Penrod. He couldn't be at our meeting tonight. He had another meeting to attend to. I do have 6 resolutions that concern the budget that we will be bringing to you to vote on. So we'll vote on 6 separate items. Just a reminder, these are very similar to what we've done in the past. You've seen all the numbers that we've done since August and the last couple board meetings leading up to this. Follow through with all of our postings in the newspaper, on website, and those kinds of things. So without further ado, I'll start with our 2025 budget adoption. This is Form 4 in your packet. This is the form that the state requires us to pass to adopt the budget, levies, and tax rates for 2025. Just a reminder that our tax rate will be revenue neutral, no increases. This will be modified down. We always advertise it high and then bring it back down. And if necessary, during the 1782 period, which will likely be in December, we'll readjust at that time. So before we can do that, we do need board approval and sign off on that adoption.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the 2025 budget adoption.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Mager?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Reitenauer?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 6-0. Next up would be the bus replacement plan.
Board, also in your packet, you do have, and for approval for this resolution, is the 2025 through 2029 bus replacement plan. This is the required 5-year plan, and this is based on the minimum life of a bus being 12 years. This is done in conjunction with Paul Hiska, our transportation director, who does a phenomenal job of carrying our buses and making sure that we order those appropriately. And I think in your plan, you'll see we do have a couple orders. And if you know, it takes about 2-3 years to get a bus in these days. So we're looking for your approval on our bus replacement plan.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the bus replacement plan.
I second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Mager?
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Reitenauer?
Yes.
All right, motion carries 6-0. Capital project resolutions.
Board, also in your packet, you have the 2025 through 2027 capital project resolutions. This is that required 3-year plan. What it does show is potential projects and acquisitions that the district may be involved in, and that might take place in the next 3 calendar years. So I will need your approval for that.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve the capital project resolution.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Mager?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Reitenauer?
Yes.
Thank you. Carries 6-0. Appropriation reduction.
Board, also in your packet, you do have the 4th resolution here. It's the appropriation reduction. As you know, we advertise our budget and levies high each year, and then during that 1782 period, they are adjusted back down. This resolution shows us to reduce appropriation for 2025, and then that remaining appropriation for 2024 and/or the cash balance in a particular fund, which in turn allows us to hit our target tax rate, that revenue neutral number. So we ask you to approve the appropriation reduction, please.
I move to approve the appropriation reduction.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mrs. Boots,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mager,
Yes.
Mr. Paul,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 6-0. Transfer appropriation resolution.
Board, the fifth resolution that you do have in your packets is the transfer of appropriation resolution. This resolution allows us for the transfer of appropriations within a fund to make sure that all the lines balance at the end of the school year. We will show two appropriation reports, one that shows actual expenditures and the one that shows when the transfers are made out. So I ask for your approval for that.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and do the resolution for the transfer of appropriation.
I'll second that.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mrs. Boots,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mager,
Yes.
Mr. Paul,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Resolution transfer amounts from education to operations fund.
Board, in your packet is our last resolution for this evening. So it's a resolution transfer amounts from our education fund to our operations fund. We ask that you pass this resolution just in case we need it, but we do not plan to transfer any amounts between the two funds at this time. Again, we had the same resolution last year, but did not transfer anything in 2024. So we put it in there as just kind of a catch net if we need to.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mrs. Boots,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mager,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Yes.
And Board, before you do leave this evening, at the conclusion of the meeting, I will need you to sign off on those 6 resolutions so that we can get those up and posted in our gateway system for tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you. Ivy Tech dual credit MOU. Dr. Relu.
Board, in your packet, you have a copy of the Memorandum of Understanding with Ivy Tech Community College. This MOU is specific for the dual credit courses that teachers at Angola High School teach as adjunct faculty for Ivy Tech Community College. If you look, the entire list of courses that are offered at Angola High School for Ivy Tech credit are there. There are 47 different courses that teachers at Angola High School are credentialed to teach at the college level. They are able to provide those courses for all of those dual credits at no cost to our students. Our teachers are paid a $500 per course stipend on top of their salary for doing those additional courses. So there's incentivization for the teachers to pursue their master's degree and to be able to teach those courses. And certainly, it's a tremendous opportunity for our students to have all of those courses available right at the high school. So we're asking your approval to approve the MOU for us to offer those courses with our faculty. You can see each teacher's name listed and all of the courses that they are approved to teach, and then what semester those are taught. Any questions about Ivy Tech dual credit?
They are accredited for $500 for each course.
For each course.
Because I see some of the bottom line here, teach more than one thing.
That's correct. It's per course. So if I'm teaching 2 sections of the same course, that's one. If I'm teaching 2 or 3 different courses, because then I have different plan time, then I'm being paid that $500 for each of the 3.
Thank you. Do we have, Mark?
The Indiana College Core is part of that core transfer library, and that's really what Indiana, just in this last legislative session, put a requirement in that all high schools provide the Indiana College Core, and if they are unable to submit a plan for how they will become able to provide that, that is the 30 credits that make up the freshman year of college. So we are a school that provides Indiana College Core. That's part of our early college program. Those 30 credits transfer to any public college or university in the state of Indiana, but they have to be taken as a block to count as those freshman 30 credits. Now, if calculus is in my 30 and I go to Purdue as an engineering major, I'm still going to have to take calculus at Purdue, but I'm still going to receive the calculus credit as an elective credit in my degree plan, and that will transfer that way. So all of those that are on the core transfer library transfer to all of the institutions that are public institutions. Several of these that are specific to career pathway are primarily going to transfer to institutions that provide those certifications.
Is there a difference then between credit from Ivy Tech and credit from Trine?
So,
You mentioned public and
yes, so Trine accepts the Indiana College Core, and Ivy Tech accepts specific Trine courses that we also offer as part of the early college program. Ivy Tech has approved those to be on our list to meet that Indiana College Core requirement.
So if I'm a Trine and I want to transfer to IU, do the Trine credits transfer
So
100% or?
they do not. So that is major by major and college by college, how they decide they're going to do those transfers. So it's just the College Core that is guaranteed to transfer.
Okay, so if I go to Trine and I'm telling them, I really like Trine, but I'm thinking about IU down the road, will they guide me towards classes that will transfer to IU?
An advisor should, but rules
That's a lot
change.
of money to spend if you don't transfer.
It is. Now, if I'm taking them at the college, if I'm taking them in high school, not in college, that rate is significantly reduced. So I'm paying $99 for a Trine course instead of $1,000 for a Trine course, which is, yeah.
I move to approve the Ivy Tech dual credit MOU.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Next up, new course request for the high school. Dr. Raylu.
Board, in your packet, you have a new course request. This is a high school course that is titled Computing Foundations for a Digital Age. This course was actually passed as a requirement in the last legislative session. So schools must start offering this course. It will be part of the new diploma requirements that will go into effect with our current 8th graders. So starting next year with our freshmen. So we'll be adding this class for the 25-26 school year for that group of students that have to have this. In lieu of this, they can complete a computer science pathway. We do start the Principles of Computer Science course freshman year. So students will either take that Computer Science Principles course or the Computing Foundations course. Students will have to go on and take the next 2 courses, though, in the Computer Science pathway to meet this requirement, or they can just take this one course. So they're definitely allowing for higher level courses than this to meet the requirement, which we're excited about. But all students will be required next year to have this course in their graduation plan. So I'd like to have your approval for this course. The state will be putting out free training to certify the instructors to teach this. We're talking now early about staffing for next year. We've got a couple people in mind who will be able to take over the teaching of this course.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve the course.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. New course request for the high school, or I'm sorry, Career Coaching Framework Memorandum of Understanding.
So, Board, in your packet, you have another MOU. This one is with the Region 8 Education Service Center. 2 years ago, the state passed another law that requires every student at the high school to have a 30-minute advising meeting, it's a career development meeting, with an adult outside of the high school. So there are organizations that have taken on how to help schools tackle that. There's actually a waiver grant that the state put out. Region 8 was one of the recipients of that. Junior Achievement was another recipient of that. We actually already partner with Junior Achievement on the career fair that this year took place at Trine University. We had all of our upperclassmen attending that. But the Region 8 Coaching Career Framework includes something we're pretty excited about. We will have teachers be able to participate in Agilities training, which is a free training. It's basically career interest inventory. What are you skilled at? What do you like? What are your aptitudes? And then specific career and education planning through a software tool based on that student's individual profile. There are pretty significant reporting criteria for those CDM meetings. There's a Scholar Track website. Every single student's information has to be entered into that website as to how that was met. In Region 8's grant with this MOU, they actually enter that data for us, so that will take that off our guidance counselor's plate. And then they will oversee the training of our staff and our implementation of that program. Our initial planning around this is that students would actually complete the Agilities program 1 year or once each year of their high school career. So it would be embedded in freshman English, where they currently do project-based learning around career planning. In health, where there is a career planning unit that's project-based, where they would kind of swap out what they're doing with this. In the junior year, personal financial responsibility will be added as an additional new requirement in the new diploma, which I'm hoping we can bring to you in December for your approval. We're waiting on the state board to finalize that. And then senior year, that's where we're kind of contemplating. We'll have to see what the state ultimately approves as those required senior courses. We anticipate that that will be part of government as just a piece of that when we do the kind of longer range planning. But we'll see what else is a required senior course and how we might be able to work that in. So that's really kind of the high level of what's happening with this service with Region 8. It's a 2-year grant. Over the 2 years, we'll be able to get all of the staff trained that we want to have trained. That's at no cost to us. And we'll have Region 8 going through the career framework rubric with us, making sure that all of the components of really planning that well with our students are in place, and providing support to help us do that. And then obviously the reporting piece is really beneficial. So I'm asking your approval for that memorandum of understanding this evening. So the state already has approved this program with Region 8, and Region 8 is receiving funding from the state for this program. So we are just opting in to be part of what they've been approved to provide. It's a 2-year grant. So we will own the content and be able to use that in perpetuity. It's the support from Region 8 to get us trained and to get all of our systems in place that we'll work on over those 2 years. And then our plan is that we would sustain it from there.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the Career Coaching Framework MOU.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Mr.
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Next up, Mr. Hall on the approval of school safety plans.
We Hoover School Board. How are you this evening? A little bit of an update on the safety stuff this year. First off, the new compliance laws for this year's safety stuff. Legislation has been hard and heavy on safety coming up through with things going on. First off, it used to be a thing that every county could have a safety commission that runs throughout the county, and the new law states now that every county must have a safety commission. So Steuben County has been leading the forefront in that in a lot of ways. Each school has had a safety, what they call a safe school team, and that's been in place in each of the schools all along. As of July 20 of 25, though, they have to add a special team to that called the Safety Threat Assessment, or Multidisciplinary Threat Assessment Team. And it's very specific to what is to be on that team is to be a school safety specialist or someone appointed by the school safety specialist that can fill in the spot, a member of the Safe School Committee, a building level administrator, the SRO, a special ed teacher, and a school counselor. So that's above and beyond what already is a school safety team that's already been put in place. Another big thing is the old lockdown drills or the active threat drills, they call them armed intruder drill now. And when they did that, they put a lot of law stipulations in place. For example, if you use any kind of props or anything like that, there's a lot of stipulations. You have to have opt-out forms or opt-in forms, and it takes a lot of things. And you cannot have more than 50% of your population in the building at the time when you do those. So there's certain things you have to do. If you run basically just a lockdown drill, but it's still called an armed intruder drill, and you don't use any of those props or anything like that, you're following the law as it's stated. So there's just things like that that have been put in place. And then most of you should have seen a letter come across that had different things from myself that lists all the drills out and what they were. That's one of the new laws that came out in effect. That we don't need to notify parents what drills are and what we'd be doing through the year. And then it also gives clear definitions of what need to be put in the records of the emergency drills to make sure everybody's consistent across the state so that when the records are pulled, they would know what would be going on. And that is whoever is conducting the drill, the date and time, notification method, who was on duty or staff on duty participating, how many were evacuated, any conditions simulated, any problems encountered. They even want to know the weather conditions and the time you encountered the drill, so or the time it required to do the drill. So they've become very specific on what they want for a lot of these new laws, and that's just a touch of the big ones. There's a lot of small little things in there that it took me a while to go through them, so there's a lot more going on. So at MSD, we do a lot of different things. We are working very hard to minimize all threats of violence. The first thing we do, we have two full-time SROs. Officer Knoll works for Angola PD. He is housed at the middle school. And then Officer Lanou works for Steuben County, or through Steuben County. He's housed at the high school. And then they've also split the elementaries up. Officer Knoll takes care of Carlin Park and Henry Park. And Officer Lanou takes care of Ryan Park and Pleasant Lake. And they do their duties at both the main schools they're at, and they spend a lot of time at the middle school or the elementaries as well. So they very well split up their time evenly, and they do a great job at that. Each building has a minimum of 2 safety specialists in them, and we are working at adding at least getting 3 or 4 in there. So I know I've got people that are signing up for a training academy that will be going on in November coming up here. We review and monitor emergency response plans, which I know Dr. Wiedenhofer, I think, has presented this year's plans with you folks already. So we go over those each year and make sure they're up to date. And if something changes, we definitely go through and redo those each time that something takes place that we need to look at. Protocols. Anytime there's a new protocol that goes out, we make sure we keep staff updated on those. We've added a new one. These are new cards that the staff got out, or went out to the staff. We had what we call ALICE protocol. We used to follow a standard response protocol, which basically, one of the main things was like the armed intruder drill. When you locked down, you stayed locked down in your room. You waited there till you were released. With the ALICE protocol, if, example, at the high school, if you're in the gym area and there's an armed intruder in the other wing by the classrooms on the far end of the building. Where you're at, if you're in the gym, you can evacuate, get out, don't stay locked down. So you make a call as to whether or not you can get out of the building and get safely out. Obviously, if you're close to where the armed intruder's at, you're going to stay locked down, but, make a safe call now, and if you can get out of the building, get your kids out of the building to safety. So that's one of the new protocols that Mr. Haven and Officer Lanu and I were trained on this summer, that we ended up training all MSD staff on over the summer. And as the new ones come in, we continue to train those as that goes along. Constantly paying attention to surroundings. As you well know, MSD has over 350 cameras in it with all the buildings. The nice thing is if something happens, the buildings call me or Officer Lanu or Officer Knoll. All three of us have access to all the building's cameras. So they always make fun of me that I'm watching football games in my office on a 72-inch TV when I'm really not. But most people think I do, but no, it's very nice. The big screen TV really lets you see what's going on with the cameras. It gives a clear picture. And then threat assessments. Every 2 to 3 years, we conduct full threat assessments on all the campuses. We just did that last year with all the campuses. And Dr. Relu's got copies of those that we've done those. It's part of the requirement for our safety grant that we have to do those all those times, or each of those times. Control access to the learning environment. I know my two ladies at this high school, and I know the other ladies are doing very well at the other schools, but Tracy and Sharon, they do a phenomenal job of restricting who comes in that office. They do a great job. And the nice thing about once they get in the office, we have further control yet because you don't go out into my building unless we allow you out in my building. Because we have to buzz you out in that building, and there's only one door that gets out in that building, and that's that middle door if you're buzzed out. The other two doors are locked all the time. The one door on the left, the teachers can key fob in and out. And in the middle one, we buzz you out. And the kids can always get in the office. But we control who goes out in the learning environment, which is another safety barrier that has really been a great thing for us. All the high schools' vehicles are tagged, whether you're staff or student. We have a tag in there so we know who's on the premises at all times. And if you drive more than one vehicle, I've told people, tags are cheap. Let me know, I'll give you as many tags as you want so that you don't have to switch them around, things like that. So those are a few things that we do at the high school, and I'm working to get the elementaries, if I can get them to do at least their staff lots, but I know sometimes it gets to be a hassle on reminding things and timing, and the tags are not getting cheaper either, so we'll work on that. We continue to keep staff trained on school prevention and emergency best practices, whether it be the standard response protocol or the ALICE protocol. And if there's anything new that comes out, we continuously update on those things. We continuously evaluate and refine school security measures. I've spent a lot of time at safety conferences this summer, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to one tomorrow. And I've got another one coming up in October that whatever I learned from there, I try to bring back and implement as much as I can. We update and exercise our school emergency plans. We keep in contact with all first responders as best we can to make sure that things are going well, or we're doing the best we can between our end, or working back and forth with them so that all things are going well there. And then we enhance our crisis communication with the addition of Crisis Go. That app or that program has been a great asset in my opinion, because as of right now, we are by doing something we did with this, with compliance laws, Steuben County and Angola PD, we are tied directly with their 911 dispatch area, so that if we have a fire, a tornado, or an actual lockdown, when it goes to an actual alert, it goes right to them as well. And we communicate right back with 911 through, it's basically like a texting app at that point in time. And if Steuben County or Angola PD has something that would happen in the community out in the area, they can alert me through that app, and I can determine whether or not to put a school either on secure, lockdown, hold, or whatever. So it works back and forth both ways on that end of it. So that's been a great thing. And then if anything happens, we have debriefing meetings right away. We all sit down together with all parties involved, and we go through what happened, what can we do to make things better, what did we do wrong, and how can we do things to improve the next steps. And then as at the high school, on that side of it, we have interoffice meetings weekly to discuss things, and then we also have interoffice meetings after everything like that, any events, to make sure that we're doing the right thing and anything we can do better. And then a little more on the Safety Commission. The Safety Commission has decided on whoever chairs it is obviously is chaired by the largest school representation, which for Steuben County, that would be MSD, because we are the largest largest school in the county. Currently, we meet quarterly to discuss the safety topics that are presented to the commission. And right now, we are represented by the Steuben County Sheriff's Office, Angola PD, Angola Fire Department, Prairie Heights, Hamilton, and Fremont Schools, Steuben County Emergency Management, Cameron Hospital, Steuben County EMS, Steuben County Probation, the County Circuit Court, the Department of Health, and DCS are all members of that table when we sit down and meet those meetings. And currently, we are discussing topics. Part of our things that we're looking at, one of the things is called reunifications. If we ever have to evacuate the buildings and we have to take kids off site to get them back to the parents, it's called a reunification. We've never practiced that. And my SRO and I feel that's something that we'd want to practice. And so we're looking at this summer, doing it with staff and administration. Obviously, we don't do it with the kids, but actually using one of our reunification sites and actually doing a practice run with how it would work out. Officer Lanou went down to Allen County and they did a reunification practice down there. And he said it was really nice to see how what things they need to work on, what things they did right, and everything like that. So that's one thing we're working on for this summer. We're also looking at bringing in with MSD, Hamilton, and Fremont a speaker called Michael De Leon. We heard him speak at the INSRO, or Indiana SRO conference over in Michigan City. He does a phenomenal job speaking of, he spent 12 years in prison because of drugs and alcohol, and now he's coming back and telling people why he had top leading trucking company and everything else, and he blew it all because he got involved in drugs and everything else, and now he's out telling it's called Steered Straight is the program that he speaks about. And then we're also looking at the members of the commission will also assist the high school with their Safe Prom project this year. We do that every 2 years, and this is the year that we'll do that again. So, I think I missed there. Actually, it kind of takes care of that next slide as well. The only other thing that is new that we're looking at is trying to get some safety training up in this area from the state. It was brought to my attention that a lot of the training is done down in central Indiana and southern Indiana. And so I talked to 2 people down at the State House and trying to get some of the safety training brought in this area so that we can get our name, get the state representation up in here. And actually, they're looking at doing sometime either late next fall or late spring of actually having a couple trainings up here, like the one I'm going to at Concord Junior High tomorrow. So these just little one-day trainings, but get them up in this area, whether it be at Trine or wherever we host them at, but some things like that. So those are some updates on some of the safety things in this area. So any questions? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That is one of the things that I've got started working on. I'm hoping to have it started by next semester. It's something Dr. Rell, you brought to my attention. One thing that I want to do is get student input from the high school kids. I'd like to get about five kids from each grade level and hear what their thoughts are on, how things are going in the school. We hear from the staff all the time. We hear from, other people around. But but we never listen to the kids. So it's just a small student advisory group, and just let them know that, we want to listen to them and hear what they have to say. So meet with them probably, I would say once or twice a month, more than likely.
I think everything you guys have been, your whole team's done an excellent job. I wasn't quite aware of all the details of everything until talking with the sheriff and the police chief, and how their praise over MSD and what they're doing safety-wise, especially over this last month with a couple scares there, was extremely impressive. So thank you for that.
What would I do?
Well, thank you. Yeah. Do we have a motion to approve the safety plan?
I move to approve the school safety plans.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Carnegie Public Library, Dr. Wiedenhofer.
Board, I've had some conversation with the Carnegie Public Library. As you know, it sits right across the street kind of from us. Part of their dilemma is that MSD puts 2 board members on their board of directors, and we are responsible for filling those 2 positions. Fortunately, we do have one of those persons in our room right now, Mr. Havens, and I think his term goes for another 2 years. So we are excited to have him to continue to serve in that capacity. The second person who serves, because we provide 2 of those, is Dave Olson. Mr. Olson would like to kind of get off of that, and I think we can kind of help with that. One of the people that I would recommend to you tonight, along with Mr. Haven, will be Haley Billows to serve in that capacity. Haley is our district media specialist, and she has a media specialist license. To me, it makes a lot of sense for having our media folks work with their media folks in good collaboration and conjunction. So tonight, I'm going to recommend to you Travis Havens and Haley Billows to fulfill those 2 roles.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Approval of adjunct teacher permit. Dr. Ayloo.
Board, last month you announced for us the vacancy for the Montessori upper elementary position to be filled by an adjunct person. So tonight I'm bringing the recommendation to you for Seema Butwala for you to issue her adjunct permit. She's already approved and teaching and trained and doing an excellent job. And this is one of those boxes we need to check for the state. So I'm asking your recommendation for her permit.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve the permit.
Second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have our future meetings. All are conducted here in the boardroom at 6 p.m. The next one will be November 19th, regular meeting. December 10th, regular meeting. It's a bit earlier just due to the holidays. And then January 14th is a regular meeting and the board reorganization meeting. Superintendent.
Board, just a few things this evening. First of all, congratulations to Mr. Lance. I know he couldn't be here tonight, and I appreciate Mr. Havens coming in here and telling us all the great things that he does. To be recognized as an athletic director of the year, it's a big deal, and anytime that you get recognized from your colleagues, I think it is a big deal. So we are excited, and you'll have to present the plaque to him when you see him again, and maybe we can strong arm him and get him up here. But again, it shows the passion with a family emergency. He's still out coaching soccer or doing those kinds of things. So congratulations to him. Also, just to let you know, fall sports is rapidly coming to a conclusion. A lot of sectional play, a lot of conference finals. Our kids are competing well and working hard. So
We do have some athletes that are moving on, and then our team sports are getting in full swing here in the next couple of days. Also, just want to give a shout out to the choir kids at the middle school. They were in performance the other evening and did a fantastic job. So you can catch some of those pictures that we got on Facebook and get on there and like that, because those kids did a phenomenal job the other night. And then we also have our band that is out busy and moving. So we're hoping the weather continues to stay a little nicer for them and keeps that sun and that nice cool weather so that they can get out there and perform on the weekend. So congratulations to both of them. And then also I want to give a shout out to Mr. Hall. He's our safety director for the district. He's been throwing some curveballs this year. We really appreciate everything that he does. And I've shared those school safety plans, and you know how thick those things are and the amount of detail and specificity that each one of those contains. It's a lot of due diligence on his part. I will highlight, though, the safety commission that he does. Being the largest school district, yes, but he goes above and beyond. You know, we have town managers from Hamilton and Orland and Fremont who come and be part of those safety meetings. So it's quite the gathering when he does have those at the high school, and they spend a lot of time because safety is priority, and we talk about that through all of our small towns in our community. So I am grateful for that. I think one of the other things that he understates is the implementation of Crisis Go. That has been kind of a team effort. When teachers have those things on their cell phone that they can hit alerts and say, hey, I have these issues, and it broadcasts to everybody in the district, that is impactful. And that's a great way to communicate. Teachers have that on their computers. Most of them have them on their phones or on their laptops. It just makes things a lot easier as far as communicating and getting the good word out. And the best thing about that is that also ties into our sheriff's department, our first responders in the county, which gets them moving very quickly. And then lastly, I think I can't speak enough about our SROs. They have been busy. All across the state, schools are dealing with threats. A lot of our schools to the south have seen a huge increase in that. So we try to be diligent. We've constantly reminded parents, have those hard conversations with your children about what they're doing on those cell phones and how to make sure that they are using social media appropriately. So kudos to Mr. Hall and his staff on making sure that school safety is kind of a priority for us. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you for that. Board member communication.
Yeah, I got a couple things. I want to thank the patrons for speaking, Abby and Katrina, coming up and at least voicing your concern. I would like to also say that, there's a lot of information out on the websites, social media. There's a lot of stuff out there that either people don't know what's going on or they like to just have a banner, stuff like that. But I would direct you to either a couple things. Go to our website, go to the MSC website, see a lot of information there. Join us on Facebook, right? We put a lot of information out on Facebook. Or just hit one of us up, either stay after the meeting, talk to us, give us a phone call. Even, meet with us one-on-one. We can answer a lot of your questions. So that's just one thing I wanted to put out there. Just be involved.
There's just a lot of false information that's not, I don't think it's intentional by anyone.
No.
But it's just like everything else, it starts to spread and people say this, well, I heard this, and it gets exaggerated a little more, because there's statistics and things that have been mentioned that are completely wrong of what true numbers really show. So I would say you're perfect on that.
Yeah.
Just set up, meet, talk, because in a conversation, it's so much easier to actually explain things and go, because typically one question leads to another, and doing it in person makes a lot more sense and you can actually get a lot done. I've only had a handful of people reach out to me and say, I'm concerned about X, Y, Z. And it's been different things. Every time we've met, it always comes out to, I had no idea that's how that works, or I see now why, give an example, one of pay that comes up in about every company and every organization and all that is of how, the board can't do a magic wand. It's the teachers have representation that has to work negotiating with superintendent and the board. So it's a team effort to get it done. It's just not, you can't just do something to do it, and you have to pay everyone, tired of hearing this, but your different buckets where money least this school year, with you being in your third year, this is third? The fourth year. So when you want to see a lot of change in an organization this size, this large, you kind of start at the top, making some changes, and it works its way down. In my opinion, we went where we needed to go, and where things needed at the teacher level, and now we continue to keep doing things to improve in different areas, so.
Things can't happen overnight.
No, that means it's taking 3 years to get
That's what I'm
where we're at now.
It
where
takes
it's
a
not-
while to move forward to get things
So
done.
it's, you guys know, both my kids have graduated now from Angola, and it does, I'm not wishing you could go back and then go through school again. But it does, it is a little disappointing of all the programs, everything that is available, the facilities, and everything that MSD has now, and they don't get to take advantage of it. But so for me, it's, I hate to say the word grandkids, because that's not gonna happen anytime soon. But that's what kind of my, when I'm doing stuff, making decisions here personally, that's where I'm looking
Yeah.
at is the next generation of how do we make it the best for them.
So yeah, so just reach out to us. I mean, I don't think everybody here will take your questions, or we'll have a one-on-one meeting with you if you want to. But just reach out, because, I mean, that's the best resolution. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I reached out to y'all and get my emails,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think
Yeah, I mean, meet with us one-on-one. I mean, you might get some different answers, and maybe there's something we can converse about and solve an issue before it goes to an email or anywhere else. So just, like I said, just reach out to us.
just so you know, I'm not giving my information on the website.
No, never said that. But I do know that some people do have some social media content out there that, you know, either could be some misinformation or they just don't know any different. But at least direct them to the, you know, the MSD website, the Facebook pages, stuff like that, because we do post a lot of good stuff out there that we're doing. And we have a whole sheet of stuff that we do that I think was really positive stuff that we've been doing the last couple of years, so.
I think more than likely, probably each and every one of us have had somebody contact us. Some things we can talk about, some things we cannot. Sometimes they're coming in and they say, who is it? We don't even know. We're not, we're dealing with minors here. We're dealing with laws. And we've all here had enough lawsuits in this community over the last 5 years to last us long. So we're very careful what we say and what we do.
So as far as like the school threats, if a student makes a threat,
make a motion to adjourn.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Pork? Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.